If I can't have him completely, then she shouldn't have him at all. That was the moment everything changed. Not when she met him, not when she fell in love, not even when she discovered she would never be more than his secret. No, it was the moment she decided the wife had to disappear. Sit back, relax, and get ready, because this story is about to take you somewhere dark. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, because this is just the beginning. And trust me, it only gets crazier from here. The city lights stretched endlessly outside the glass walls of her penthouse. Everything about her world screamed wealth. Diamond chandelier, Italian marble floors, a skyline view that most people would sell their souls to wake up to. And standing in the middle of it all, Vanessa Cole, a billionaire in her own right. Sharp, calculated, untouchable. But tonight, she looked restless. She swirled the wine in her glass, her eyes distant. Then her assistant's voice broke the silence. "You haven't touched your dinner, ma'am." Vanessa didn't turn. "I'm not hungry." A pause. Then, "Is this about Mr. Carter again?" Vanessa's grip tightened slightly around the glass. "Don't say his name like that." "Like what?" Now she turned, slowly, dangerously, like he belongs to someone else. Scene 2. The man between two worlds across town. Laughter echoed through a warm, modest home. Ethan Carter sat at the dining table, smiling as his wife placed food in front of him. "You're late again," she teased softly. "Work?" he replied, loosening his tie. "Work doesn't smile at you like that when your phone lights up." He froze for half a second. She noticed. She always noticed. "You're imagining things, Lily." Lily Carter smiled gently, but her eyes said something else. "Am I?" A long silence stretched between them. Then she reached across the table and held his hand. "Just don't forget what matters, Ethan." He forced a smile, but guilt was already creeping in. Scene 3. The mistress who refused to lose back in the penthouse. Vanessa stared at a photo on her phone. Ethan, laughing, but not with her, with his wife. Her jaw tightened. Then, crack! The glass shattered in her hand, red wine dripping like blood onto the floor. Her assistant rushed forward. "Ma'am," Vanessa didn't even flinch. Her voice was cold, too calm. "How long have they been married?" 7 years. "And she still looks at him like that?" "Yes." A pause. Then Vanessa laughed, but there was nothing funny about it. 7 years and she still thinks she's winning. Scene 4. The obsession turns dark. Later that night, Vanessa sat in her private office, screens glowing around her. Photos, videos, schedules, everything about Lily Carter laid out like a blueprint. Her morning jog, her favorite cafe, her weekly charity visits, her vulnerability. Vanessa leaned back in her chair. "She's predictable." Her assistant hesitated. "Ma'am, what exactly are you planning?" Vanessa's lips curved into a slow, chilling smile. "I'm taking back what's mine." "By doing what?" A pause. Then, "By removing the problem." The assistant's face paled. "You don't mean..." Vanessa cut her off. "Relax. I'm not a monster." A beat. Then she added quietly, "Unless I have to be." Scene 5. The first warning sign. The next morning, Lily stepped out of her house, adjusting her bag. Everything felt normal. Too normal. Until a black SUV slowed down across the street. She frowned. It didn't move, didn't honk, didn't leave, just watched. She shook it off and kept walking, but her instincts whispered something she couldn't ignore. Something isn't right. Scene 6. The line gets crossed. Back at the penthouse, Vanessa stood by the window, watching live footage from a discreet camera. Lily, walking, unaware, unprotected, perfect. Her assistant stood behind her, voice trembling. "This is going too far." Vanessa didn't look away. "No, this is just the beginning. You could lose everything." Finally, Vanessa turned. Her eyes were cold, empty. "I already have." A long silence. Then she said the words that would change everything. "Set it up." The assistant's breath caught. "You're serious?" Vanessa stepped closer, whispering, "I want her taken, clean, quiet, and without a trace." Final hook, end of part 1. Across the city, Lily's phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. She opened it, and her blood ran cold. "Stay away from him, or next time you won't make it home." She looked around, heart pounding. The black SUV was gone. Because what Lily doesn't know yet, she's already being watched, already being followed, and very soon, she's going to be taken. To be continued in part 2. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, because the next part, the plan begins, and there's no turning back. The warning was ignored, the trap is set, and now there's no escape. You should have listened. Welcome back. This is where everything starts to spiral out of control. If you thought part 1 was intense, you're not ready for what's coming next. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, because this story is just getting darker. Scene 1. Fear has a sound. Lily stood frozen in the middle of her living room. Her phone trembled in her hand. That message, it didn't feel like a prank. It didn't feel like a mistake. It felt real, dangerously real. She whispered to herself, who would send something like this? Her heart pounded as she dialed Ethan's number. It rang, and then voicemail. Her voice cracked as she spoke. Ethan, call me back. Something's wrong. Scene 2. The man who knows more than he says. Across town, Ethan stared at his phone. He had seen the call. He just didn't answer. Vanessa sat across from him in a dimly lit private lounge, her fingers tracing the rim of her glass. You seem distracted, she said softly. Ethan forced a smile. Work. Vanessa tilted her head. Or your wife? Silence. She leaned closer. Does she know about me yet? No. Will she? Ethan exhaled sharply. Vanessa, not now. Her eyes darkened slightly. You always say that. A pause. Then she whispered, how long do you expect me to stay in the shadows? Ethan didn't answer. And that was answer enough. Scene 3. The Mistress tightens control. Back at the penthouse, Vanessa stood before a group of men. Cold, focused, untouchable. These weren't business associates. They were something else entirely. One of them stepped forward. We've studied her routine. Another added, she's vulnerable between 7:30 and 8 a.m. No security, no driver. Vanessa nodded slowly. Good. You sure you want this done clean? She looked at him, dead in the eye. No mistakes. And the husband? A slight smile touched her lips. He'll come running, exactly where I want him. Scene 4. A wife's growing suspicion. That night, Lily sat quietly across from Ethan at dinner. The silence between them was louder than words. Finally, someone threatened me today. Ethan froze. What? She slid her phone across the table. He read the message. His face changed, just for a second. But she saw it. You know something, Kidnäp, she said softly. No, I don't. Ethan, her voice sharpened. Don't lie to me. He stood up abruptly. It's probably nothing. Just some sick joke. She stood too. A joke doesn't feel like that. Tears filled her eyes. I felt like someone was watching me. Ethan looked away, and that broke her more than anything. Scene 5. The setup. The next morning, the streets were quiet. Too quiet. Lily stepped out of her house again, but this time, she hesitated. Her instincts screamed at her, not don't go. But she shook it off. I'm just being paranoid. She started walking, and that's when it began. A car door shut behind her. Footsteps. Fast. Too fast. Before she could turn, a hand clamped over her mouth. Don't scream. Her eyes widened in terror. She struggled, kicked, fought, but it was useless. Move. Within seconds, she was dragged into a van. The door slammed shut, and just like that, she was gone. Scene 6. The moment everything changes. Hours later, Ethan's phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. Hello? Silence. Then a voice. Cold, controlled, familiar. She's with me. Ethan's heart stopped. Vanessa, what did you do? A soft chuckle echoed through the line. What you forced me to do. Where is she? His voice cracked. Desperate now. Vanessa's tone hardened. You're going to listen very carefully. He clenched his jaw. If you hurt her, she cut him off. You don't get to make threats anymore, Ethan. A pause. Then, you get to make choices. Scene 7. Face to face with fear. In a dark, unfamiliar room, Lily slowly opened her eyes. Her head throbbed. Her hands were tied. Panic surged through her. Hello? No answer. Then footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. The door creaked open, and a woman stepped in. Elegant. Calm. Terrifying. Vanessa. Lily's breath caught. Who are you? Vanessa smiled faintly. The woman your husband couldn't stay away from. Lily's world shattered in that moment. No. Vanessa stepped closer. Yes. She crouched down, meeting Lily's terrified eyes. And now you're going to understand exactly what that means. Final hook, end of part 2. Back on the phone, Ethan dropped to his knees. Please, don't do this. Vanessa's voice was ice cold. You should have thought about that before you made me invisible. A pause. Then the ultimatum. Come to me alone or you'll never see your wife again. Because now it's no longer about love. It's about control. It's about obsession. And in this game, someone is going to lose everything. The warehouse stood silent. Cold, abandoned. Ethan stepped out of his car slowly, his heart pounding like a drum in his chest. Every instinct screamed at him to turn back, but Lily's face flashed in his mind, and he kept walking. The large metal door creaked open before he even touched it. A voice echoed from inside, right on time. Vanessa. Scene 2. walking into the trap. Ethan stepped inside cautiously. The door slammed shut behind him. Bang! He flinched. Then his eyes adjusted to the dim light, and there she was. Vanessa stood across the room, elegant as ever, calm as ever, dangerous as ever. "Where is she?" Ethan demanded. Vanessa smiled faintly. "No hello? Vanessa, where is my wife?" Her eyes narrowed slightly at his tone. "Still your wife, huh?" A pause. Then she stepped aside, and Ethan saw her, Lily, tied to a chair, weak but alive. "Lily!" He rushed forward, but two men stepped in front of him instantly, blocking his path. "Easy," Vanessa said softly. "You're here because I allowed it." Scene 3. The reunion. Lily's eyes filled with tears the moment she saw him. "Ethan," her voice was barely above a whisper. Relief, pain, confusion, all at once. "Are you okay?" he asked desperately. She nodded slightly, but her eyes searched his face, looking for answers, looking for truth, and maybe already fearing it. Scene 4. The truth comes out. Vanessa walked slowly between them, like a judge about to deliver a sentence. "This is touching." Her voice dripped with sarcasm. Then she turned to Lily. "Do you know why you're here?" Lily said nothing. Vanessa answered for her. "Because of him." She pointed at Ethan. Lily's gaze slowly shifted, back to her husband. Vanessa's voice grew sharper. "Tell her." Ethan froze. "Tell her everything." "Vanessa, now." The room echoed with her voice. Silence followed, heavy, unavoidable. Ethan looked at Lily. Her eyes were locked on his, waiting, hoping, breaking. And then he spoke. "I've been seeing her." The words hit like a gunshot. Lily's breath caught. "For how long?" Her voice was trembling now. Ethan hesitated. That hesitation said everything. 2 years. Lily's world shattered. Scene 5. A heart breaks in real time. Tears rolled down her cheeks, but she didn't scream, didn't lash out. She just looked at him. "While I was building our life?" He couldn't answer. "While I was loving you?" Silence. Her voice cracked. "Was any of it real?" Ethan stepped forward. "Lily, please, don't." Her voice snapped through the room. Even Vanessa paused. "Don't you dare come closer to me." The pain in her eyes was unbearable. "You don't get to stand there and pretend you didn't destroy me." Scene 6. The Mistress's demand. Vanessa watched the scene unfold. And for a moment, there was satisfaction in her eyes, but it didn't last. Because even now, Ethan was looking at Lily like she mattered more. Vanessa stepped forward, her voice cold again. "Now that the truth is out, we can get to the point." Ethan turned to her. "What do you want?" She smiled, slowly, dangerously. "A choice." Silence fell. "You walk out of here with her," she pointed at Lily, "and you lose everything else." A pause. Then she stepped closer to Ethan, close enough to whisper, "You stay with me," and she disappears. Lily's eyes widened in horror. "You're insane." Vanessa didn't even look at her. Her eyes stayed on Ethan. "Choose." Scene 7. The longest moment. Time stood still. Ethan looked at Lily, then at Vanessa, then back again. His chest rose and fell rapidly. His mind screamed. His heart raced. Everything he had built, everything he had risked, everything he had destroyed, all led to this moment. Lily shook her head slowly, tears streaming down her face. "Don't choose me out of guilt." Her voice was soft but powerful. "Choose me because you love me." Vanessa's jaw tightened. "Or don't choose her at all." The pressure was unbearable. Scene 8. The decision. Ethan closed his eyes for a moment, just one moment, then he opened them and spoke. "Let her go." Vanessa's expression didn't change. "That's not an answer." Ethan stepped forward, more certain now. "I choose my wife." Silence. Cold, deadly silence. Vanessa blinked once, then laughed, softly, but there was no humor in it. "Of course you do." Scene 9. When obsession breaks, Vanessa turned away, her shoulders stiff, her hands clenched. Then suddenly, she spun back around and slapped Ethan across the face. "You don't get to choose now," her voice cracked. Finally, all that control breaking apart. "After everything I gave you?" Ethan didn't react, didn't fight back. He just said, "It was never yours to give." That was it. That was the moment. Vanessa snapped. Final hook. End of part 4. Vanessa turned to her men, her voice cold again, empty. "Take her," Lily gasped. Ethan shouted, "No." But it was too late. Vanessa looked him dead in the eye and said, "You made your choice." A pause, then, "Now live with mine." Because in the next part, everything spirals out of control and someone may not make it out alive. A husband's choice, a mistress's control, and a wife fighting to survive. You don't get to love two women and walk away with both. Welcome back. This is where everything gets deeper, darker, and far more dangerous. The lies are unraveling, the truth is bleeding out, and the consequences, they're just getting started. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe because this story is about to shake you. Scene 1, a man brought to his knees. Ethan's hands trembled as he held the phone. Vanessa had already hung up, but her words, they echoed in his head like a curse. Come alone or you'll never see your wife again. He staggered back, collapsing into a chair. His mind raced. Every mistake, every lie, every secret meeting, all of it had led to this moment. He whispered to himself, "What have I done?" His phone buzzed again, a message, an address, and one line beneath it, "You have 12 hours." Scene 2, the wife who refuses to break in. The dim room. Lily sat still, her hands tied tightly behind her. Her breathing was uneven, but her eyes, they were no longer just afraid. They were thinking, watching, learning. Vanessa circled her slowly, like a predator studying prey. "You're stronger than I expected," Vanessa said calmly. Lily swallowed hard. "You made a mistake." Vanessa raised an eyebrow. "Did I?" "Yes." Lily's voice steadied, "because whatever you think this is, it's not love." A flicker passed through Vanessa's eyes, just for a second. "Careful," Vanessa said quietly. "You're not in a position to define anything." But Lily didn't stop. "If you loved him, you wouldn't do this." Silence filled the room. Heavy, dangerous. Then Vanessa leaned in close, too close. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "If I didn't love him," a pause, her expression hardened, "you'd already be dead." Scene 3, truth comes with pain. Hours passed that Lily's wrists burned from the ropes. Her throat was dry. But her mind, still sharp. Vanessa returned, holding a glass of water. She placed it on the table just out of reach. A test. Lily looked at it, then back at her. "What do you want from me?" Vanessa didn't answer immediately. Instead, she pulled up a chair and sat directly in front of her. "I want you to understand something." "Understand what?" Vanessa's eyes locked onto hers. "That you were never supposed to win." Lily frowned. "Win what?" Vanessa laughed softly, but it wasn't a happy laugh. It was broken. "You got the ring, the home, the life." Her voice tightened. "But I got him." Lily's heart sank. "You think that makes you special?" Vanessa's expression snapped. "I know it does." Scene 4, the flashback that changed everything. Vanessa stood up, pacing slowly. Her voice softened, but the pain behind it was unmistakable. "Do you know how we met?" Lily stayed silent. Vanessa continued anyway. "He walked into my office, confident, charming, pretending to be everything he wasn't." A faint smile touched her lips. "And I saw through him instantly." She turned, "but I didn't care." Her voice dropped, "because for the first time in my life, someone didn't need my money." A long pause. Then, or at least, that's what I thought. Lily's eyes widened slightly. Pieces were starting to come together. Scene 5, the husband's desperate plan. Meanwhile, Ethan stood in his office, pacing back and forth. His best friend Marcus watched him closely. "You can't go alone," Marcus said firmly. "She said I have to." "And you're just going to listen?" Ethan ran a hand through his hair. "She has Lily." Marcus stepped closer. "And what if it's a trap?" Ethan laughed bitterly. "It is a trap." A pause. Then he added, "But I don't have a choice." Marcus lowered his voice. "Call the police." Ethan shook his head immediately. "No." "Why not?" Ethan hesitated. That hesitation said everything. Marcus's eyes narrowed. "What aren't you telling me?" Silence. Then, "Because if the police get involved," Ethan swallowed hard, "everything comes out." Scene 6, a dangerous realization. Back in the room, Lily studied Vanessa carefully. And then she asked the question that changed everything. "Does he love you?" Vanessa froze. Just for a second, but it was enough. Lily saw it and pressed harder. "Or are you just convenient?" Vanessa's expression darkened instantly. "You don't get to talk about things you don't understand." "Then explain it." Lily leaned forward slightly despite the ropes. "Explain why a man who belongs to you goes home to me every night." That hit. Hard. Vanessa's hand tightened into a fist. "Because he's weak." "No," Lily said softly. "Because he chose." The room went silent. And in that silence, Vanessa's control began to crack. Scene 7. The countdown begins. Ethan drove through the night, the address glowing on his phone. Every second felt heavier than the last. His thoughts raced. What if I'm too late? What if she's already? He couldn't finish the thought. His grip tightened on the steering wheel. "Hold on, Lily." Scene 8. Power shifts. Back in the room, Vanessa stood still. Too still. Then suddenly, she grabbed the chair and slammed it against the wall. Lily flinched, but didn't look away. Vanessa turned back to her, eyes burning now. "You think this is a game?" No, Lily's voice was calm, steady. I think this is where you lose. A dangerous smile spread across Vanessa's face. You're very brave. She stepped closer. Let's see how long that lasts. Final hook, end of part 3. A notification buzzed on Vanessa's phone. She checked it and smiled. Slowly, darkly. Then she looked at Lily. He's here. Lily's heart stopped. Vanessa leaned in close and whispered, now, let's see who he chooses. Because in the next part, the truth will be exposed, loyalties will be tested, and one decision will change everything forever. To be continued in part 4, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe because the next part, the confrontation begins, and not everyone will survive it. Choices have been made, but the consequences are just beginning. You don't destroy lives and walk away untouched. Welcome back. Now we enter the most dangerous part of the story. No more games, no more control, just chaos, consequences, and a fight for survival. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe because this part will leave you speechless. Scene 1, the moment control slips. Take her. Vanessa's command echoed through the warehouse. 2 men moved instantly toward Lily. No, Ethan shouted, lunging forward. But he was restrained, hard, pinned down as he struggled with everything he had. Let her go, Lily screamed. Ethan, the room erupted into chaos. But Vanessa, she didn't move. She just stood there, watching. Scene 2, the breaking point. Lily fought as they untied her from the chair, only to drag her toward another room. Get off me! She kicked, scratched, screamed, but they were too strong. Ethan's voice tore through the building. Vanessa, this isn't you. That made her pause, just slightly. She turned slowly. No, her voice was hollow now. This is exactly who I am. Ethan shook his head. Desperate. This isn't love. Vanessa's eyes flashed. You don't get to define love after lying to both of us. Scene 3, a wife's last stand. They dragged Lily into a smaller room. Dark, cold, a single chair in the center. They forced her down again, tied her hands, tighter this time. She was breathing hard, but her eyes, still alive, still thinking, still fighting. One of the men muttered, Boss didn't say to hurt her. The other replied, she didn't say not to either. Lily swallowed. Fear crept in, but she forced her voice steady. If you do this, you don't walk away clean. They hesitated, just for a second. Scene 4, outside the edge, back in the main room. Ethan dropped to his knees as the men holding him loosened their grip slightly. He looked up at Vanessa, not with anger, but with something worse. Disappointment. You've already lost, he said quietly. Vanessa laughed bitterly. No, I just stopped pretending. Look at yourself, he continued. You built an empire, and now you're destroying it for what? A pause. Then, for someone who never chose you. That hit deeper than anything else. Vanessa's expression flickered, cracked, but then hardened again. Scene 5, the unexpected shift. Suddenly, a loud noise echoed from outside. Sirens. Everyone froze. Vanessa's head snapped toward the door. What is that? One of her men rushed in. Police. The room went silent. Ethan's eyes widened. Vanessa turned to him slowly. You said you wouldn't. Ethan shook his head. I didn't, but someone had. Scene 6, the truth revealed. Outside the warehouse, police cars surrounded the building, lights flashing, weapons ready, and standing behind them, Marcus, phone still in his hand, his face tense. I had to, he whispered to himself. Scene 7, panic and power. Inside, everything spiraled. Vanessa's control, gone. Get them out, she shouted. Her men scrambled, confused, panicked. Ethan seized the moment. He broke free and ran, straight toward the room where Lily was held. Stop him. Too late. Scene 8, the rescue. Ethan burst into the room. Lily. Her head snapped up. Relief flooded her face. Ethan. He rushed to her, quickly working to untie the ropes. We have to go. Now. Her voice shook. What's happening? Police. Her eyes widened. Vanessa. Ethan paused, just for a second. Then, we're leaving. Scene 9, the final confrontation. As they stepped out, Vanessa stood in the center of the room. Still, silent, broken. The sirens grew louder, closer. Ethan stepped in front of Lily, instinctively protecting her. Vanessa looked at them both, her voice softer now. So this is how it ends. No one answered. She laughed quietly. All that power, all that control. A tear slipped down her cheek, and I still lose. Lily spoke for the first time, gently. You lost the moment you chose this path. Vanessa looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time, there was no hatred, just emptiness. Scene 10, the fall. The doors burst open. Police, don't move. Officers flooded the room, weapons drawn. Vanessa didn't resist, didn't run. She just stood there and let them take her. As they cuffed her, she looked at Ethan one last time. You were never worth this. Then she was gone. Final hook, end of part 5. Outside, Ethan and Lily stood together, free, alive, but not whole, because some damage doesn't disappear. Because in the final part, freedom comes with a price. Love faces its greatest test, and not every relationship survives the truth. To be continued in part 6, final. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Because the final part, it's not about survival anymore, it's about what comes after. The truth is out, the damage is done, but what happens next? Sometimes surviving is the easy part. Living with the truth, that's the real battle. Welcome to the final part. You've seen the obsession, you've felt the betrayal, you've watched everything fall apart. Now it's time to face what's left behind. So sit back, relax, and stay with us till the very end. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, because this story might stay with you longer than you expect. Scene 1, silence after chaos. The police lights were gone. The noise had faded. The world had moved on. But for Ethan and Lily, everything had changed. They sat in the living room, the same room that once held laughter. Now it held silence, heavy, uncomfortable, unavoidable. Lily stared ahead, her hands resting in her lap. Ethan stood by the window, unsure, distant. Finally, "Are you okay?" he asked softly. Lily didn't answer right away. When she did, her voice was calm, too calm. "I survived." A pause. "Then that doesn't mean I'm okay." Scene 2, the truth between them. Ethan turned slowly. Pain filled his eyes. "Lily, I know I hurt you." She let out a quiet breath. "You didn't just hurt me." She looked at him now, directly. "You lied to me. For 2 years, each word landed like weight. You built a life with me while living another one behind my back." Ethan stepped closer. "I made a mistake." "No." Her voice cut through his instantly. "A mistake is something you do once." Silence. "This," she shook her head slowly, "was a choice, repeated every single day." Scene 3. A man faces himself. Ethan couldn't argue, couldn't defend himself because she was right. He looked down at his hands, as if seeing them for the first time. "I thought I could control it." He laughed bitterly. "Control everything." A pause. Then he admitted, "But I destroyed the only thing that mattered." Lily's eyes softened for a moment, but the pain still stronger. Scene 4. The question no one wants to ask. Lily stood up slowly, walking a few steps away, creating distance. "Do you love her?" Ethan's head snapped up. "No." She turned back. "Don't answer fast. Answer honestly." A long silence followed. Ethan swallowed hard. "I cared about her." Lily closed her eyes briefly. "That alone hurt, but I never stopped loving you." Tears filled her eyes. "That doesn't fix anything." Scene 5. The hardest decision. The room felt smaller now, heavier, like the walls themselves were listening. Ethan stepped closer again. "Careful this time. We can fix this." Lily shook her head slowly. "Not everything is meant to be fixed." His heart dropped. "Lily," her voice broke slightly, but she stayed strong. "I almost died, Ethan." Silence. "And the person who put me there was someone you brought into our lives." That truth, unavoidable, unforgivable. Scene 6. Letting go, Lily wiped her tears gently, then looked at him one last time. Not with anger, not with hatred, but with something deeper. Finality. "I loved you with everything I had." Ethan's eyes filled. "I still do." A pause. Then, "But I can't stay." The words shattered him. "Please." He stepped forward, but she stepped back. "Don't make this harder than it already is." Scene 7. A new beginning. Alone days later, Lily stood outside a small apartment, a single suitcase by her side. The sun rose slowly behind her. A new beginning, not the one she planned, but the one she chose. Her phone buzzed. A message from Ethan. She stared at it for a long moment. Then, she locked her phone and walked inside, without replying. Scene 8. The cost of obsession. Across the city, Vanessa sat in a quiet room. Cold walls, no luxury, no power, just consequences. She stared ahead, lost in thought. For the first time in her life, she had nothing to control, nothing to chase, nothing to prove. Only one thing remained, the truth, and the weight of her choices. Scene 9. A man left behind. Ethan sat alone in the house. The silence now, louder than ever. He picked up a photo, him and Lily, smiling, happy. Before everything broke, a tear slid down his face. "I lost her, and this time, there was no one else to blame." Scene 10. What remains? Time passed, slowly, painfully. But life, it kept moving. Lily grew stronger, piece by piece. Ethan learned, the hard way. And Vanessa, she lived with the reality of what obsession had cost her. Final message. Because in the end, This wasn't just a story about love. It was a story about choices, about consequences, about how one decision can change everything. And now we turn it over to you. What did you learn from this story? Was Ethan ever truly sorry or just afraid of losing everything? Did Lily make the right decision by walking away? And Vanessa, was she a villain or someone destroyed by love? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear from you. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, because more powerful stories are coming your way. The end, or is it just a lesson?